Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and maybe good evening, everyone. I am Marina. I am dialing in from Barcelona, still quite sunny and warm over here. I will be the host and co-speaker for today's exciting session. Just let me tell you that Mimi and I are super thrilled to have you here. We have been preparing the content for this webinar with a lot of excitement, and we are hoping you can take the best out of it. Before we kick off, I want to share with you some very light housekeeping rules. The first of all is I will try to monitor as much as I can the Q&A session during the live session. So if you have any problem, feel free to drop it there. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. The second thing is that this webinar is scheduled to last more or less 45 minutes, and we will be including in this 45 minutes the Q&A. Speaking of Q&A, we invite you and we encourage you to actually submit all the questions you have. This will help to make the webinar super interactive, and we will reply everything all the way at the end. Speaking of interaction, we have prepared 3 polls. These are questions that will be popping on the screen, and you are invited to give your answer, and we will share the results with everyone. And last but not least, we will be sharing the recording of this webinar on demand for you to have it either today or tomorrow by email. So without further ado, let me give the stage to Mimi to introduce herself.
Hi guys, so happy to be here and chat with you all today and talk all things kind of marketing and content. As you know, is clear from the slide and perhaps what you saw when you registered, my name's Mimi and I'm the creative content director at Radinn. Radinn is an electric jetboard company based in Sweden. I'm actually one of the few US employees, so I am here in the States. And if you're not familiar with jetboards, as many people aren't, it's a very new product in the world of water sports. Basically, if you can picture a jet ski, it moves through the water with a jetpack on the end. It's the same kind of concept and same kind of construction, just on a surfboard, so people can surf over any body of water. So that's what we do at Radinn, that's what we sell, and that's kind of our mission, to open up the experience of surfing to the people. A little bit about me, I built my career as a copywriter, so have worked on in-house marketing teams my whole career. Before that, I graduated from a liberal arts school with a degree, double major in studio fine art and English. So I've always been a word lover. And I worked at some awesome brands earlier in my career, like Reebok and Wayfair, so some e-commerce sites, as well as the travel company Education First, or EF. I have been at Radinn for 4 years now. It's flown by. And my role at Radinn actually takes a bit of a larger scope. So in addition to all copywriting initiatives, I oversee all of our creative assets. I do a lot of media production, so photo and video shoots, creating content for us to use on the team, and a specific kind of focus as well on the US markets and a brand strategy globally and for the US. So it's an exciting journey, and I'm excited to share all about it with you guys today.
Nice. Thank you, Mimi. You're filling in big shoes over there. Okay, I'm going to move to the next slide. No need to have an immediate reply, but Mimi and I would like to know what are the expectations that you have for this webinar, and we invite you to leave it in the Q&A button. And I'll be monitoring this and sharing with Mimi just to make sure that we can meet your expectations. Going into the interactive mode, this is the first question we have prepared just to test the waters. And this is, what is your biggest challenge when you're collaborating with your teams? And I can launch it on the screen, so hopefully you can see it. Okay, we start seeing some answers. Interesting. So the first option is finding the latest version of a document or asset. Second option is ensuring consistent branding across materials. Third option is communicating changes and feedback effectively. And third option is accessing or sharing assets internally and externally. Okay, questions, answers that are still coming in. So couple of more seconds. Oh, we haven't. Wow, these results. Okay, let me share it with you so you can see it. Quite, yeah, second, third, and fourth option are quite there. What do you think, Mimi?
I actually can't see the results. I'm curious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't. Oh,
Now
there they
can you
are. They
see?
just, yep. Now
Okay.
they're there. Awesome. Yeah. So wow. So definitely the latter three look like they're the biggest pain point for people, and I can certainly relate to that too.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. We will be talking
Mhm.
about these points during the
Mhm.
presentation, so
Mhm.
it's good to know we're on the right path.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay, let me go to the next slide.
Yeah, awesome. So well, let's just dive right in. I mean, that poll set us up really well, and I think if the people joining us here today are, working in a marketing capacity, you can relate to kind of all of these challenges that we encounter when we do our job. So I'll just run through them and kind of talk through them briefly. And Marina, feel free to dive in or interrupt me if you have something to add.
Yes.
But starting with content is king. I mean, this is kind of the crux of what we do in marketing. I mean, we live in an increasingly digital and visually driven landscape, and creating content is not just about, attracting target audiences, but it's also about keeping them hooked. And even beyond things like the bottom line and sales or conversions, we're trying to spark conversations and foster a sense of community around our brand, and we do that through content. So content is the heart of everything we do, and as we'll discuss, creating it and making it captivating, engaging isn't always easy, especially in a changing landscape. And that brings me into my next 2 points. I'm going to kind of consolidate these two together about multiple channels and algorithm changes, because I see them almost hand in hand. In this era of really diverse digital platforms, and all these different channels that are constantly being introduced to us as users. I mean, we consume content too. Understanding the nuances of each of these, and understanding the different demographics that they have and the user behaviors that are inherent in each one of them can be really tricky. It's about really, you know, leveraging each platform effectively for its own demographic and user behavior. And then in addition to that, to make it even more complex, these algorithms are constantly changing. So, it's essential that you are evolving and looking at all these different facets of things to really maintain visibility and audience engagement. And I know for me, at least on a marketing, like as soon as we feel like we've nailed one platform and we've got like our strategy down to really like boost engagement, it's like the algorithm changes under our feet and we have to start from scratch. So you really have to be agile and definitely stay on your toes when it comes to marketing in the world we're living in today. Um, so, and
Definitely.
then, yeah, creativity versus demand. I mean, I think this is almost the biggest kind of thorn in our side sometimes as creatives. Staying, keeping your creative juices energized without burning out can be hard given the demand we have for constant creation. So it's really about navigating kind of a delicate balance between creativity and meeting the demands of your audience and the demand to stay relevant, straddling that fine line, you know, and we'll talk later in the presentation about some tools and project management processes that can help with this, so that you can kind of stay invigorated and energized. But it's about taking some more tactical strategy, resources and allowing them to complement your creative process is kind of how I see it. Um, and then, yeah, the last kind of point here, we talk about the pink elephant in the room, which is a little nod to Pickett. This I kind of see as an amalgamation of everything already discussed. So, you know, it's about balancing the demand for creativity with tighter project management processes and tools that you can use, because at the end of the day, maintaining consistent quality is hard, and consistent quality is crucial for brand reputation. So it is everything. And it's just about finding a good balance for you and your collaborators, and using tools along the way.
Definitely very, very crucial points that any marketeer, I think, is facing on a daily basis. Looking back when I started 10 years ago, I wasn't handling the complexity that we're handling nowadays.
The speed at which it's changing too is astonishing. I mean, I feel like we've navigated more platform, algorithm, marketing channel changes in the past 2 years alone than I did the first 8 years of my career. So it's a really interesting kind of thing to look back on and also to look forward on.
Definitely. Same here. This is just, we added here more because we thought the list could be very long. We just wanted to touch on the most common demands that every marketeer in all type of industries can actually face. When Mimi and I were speaking about this, we were thinking, okay, these are actually the demand, but there is so much we can do both on the non-tech side and on the technology side to actually help manage all these multiple requests coming to a single person sometimes, which is super hard to manage, and you can easily get burnt out. Definitely.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next question. How do you currently manage and organize your digital assets? So let me launch the poll. Maybe you can do it. You should be able to see it now. Perfect. So let's see what answers we get from this one. Interesting. Okay, we are up to 60% of participation. We give it a few extra seconds. First option is manually using folders on my computer or shared drives like SharePoint. This is first option. Second option is using a cloud storage solution like Google Drive or Dropbox. Third option is with a dedicated digital asset system. And fourth option is I don't have a specific system in place. So let's see which one is the winning.
Nice.
That resonates with you, Mimi, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, with the second
and it's
option.
a lot of times it's a little bit of everything. Yeah. Good. Is similar, evenly split between the first three, it looks like.
Yes.
Yeah. Good to see that most people do have at least one, if not more, systems in place. But if you don't, I mean, this is a great place to start. So yeah. Okay.
This question brings us to the next slide, which is aligning teams and effectively producing quality content. So how do you go about it, Mimi?
Yeah. And so with this slide, we're kind of talking about, not looking through a tech perspective, but more looking through kind of a team collaboration perspective. And as you guys can see, we have 4 points here: learnings, strategy sessions, touch bases, and a little bit of a overarching point of communication. I think the first one, I know for me personally, is I think the most important to remember because it's actually the easiest to forget. When it comes to content strategy and like we talked about, this immense demand for constant content, it's so easy for marketing teams to only be looking forward and living in the future. What's next? Oh, we got to push this out next week. What do we got to do the week after? Oh, this holiday's coming up, etc. And it's really easy to forget that in order to effectively push, or rather in order to push effective content, you need to be looking backwards at learnings, and you need to be measuring your performance and looking at metrics like engagement rates and traffic, and really assess what's working and what's not working. And depending on the scale of your team, it could be really grassroots, or you might have a dedicated kind of analytics team, but whatever it may be, even if it's just a click rate or looking at some engagement metrics on social media, it's really important to take stock of of what's performing high and what's not, so that when you move forward and create content, you can create the content that your audience wants to see. And then beyond that, I found that it's just a healthy combination of like high level strategy sessions and regular touch bases. And the prior really being more about like focusing on overarching goals, longer term planning, business objectives, while the latter is a little bit more tactical, like we said. So when you're focusing on the day-to-day operations and addressing immediate needs, and just keeping your team coordinated and saying, here's what I need from you today, or this is behind the mark and we need to catch up here. That could look like a daily stand-up. I think those are so powerful. 15 minutes every morning for the team to go around and say, here's what I'm working on today and here's what I'm waiting on, and this is where the status of this is, combined with a regular cadence of strategy sessions that are a little bit more high level, a little bit more all-encompassing, and less mired in the nitty-gritty, is a really smart idea to really just keeping collaboration, creativity, and output moving forward. The red thread through all of that is, of course, communication. I don't believe there's ever such thing as too much communication. It facilitates problem solving, it encourages collaboration and creativity and overall team rapport. My personal setup with Radinn, given that the company's based in Sweden and I'm working remotely here in the US, I found that you can't over communicate, and I'm constantly leaving actually voice notes over Slack with my team because it's so much faster than typing. And all day long I'm just leaving them voice notes because I'm not in the same room with them, but I need to touch base and say I made this change, or here's where we're at with this. So I just don't think you can ever over communicate, and doing all four of these is a really nice place to start getting a good process in and creating high quality content.
Definitely, Mimi. Thank you so much. When we were talking about these slides, everything that we were putting together was resonating in both walls. One of the things that we commented is on learnings, going back to first point, the demand is so hard that you want to stay on top of it, but sometimes you cannot see the forest that's in front of you. To just have a tree and you just hammer. So it's I think for me it's the first one. The data is there, and it's just making, I know, depending on this, always depends on the size of the organization, but if you are a five person team, you can have at least half a day a week to reflect on the data that you have in the different systems to help you take better decisions. Definitely.
And a lot of times what we'll do when we're doing planning meetings, before you even begin planning, you need to look back at what you've already output and see the success of the campaigns. I mean, that should be a baseline structure to the meeting, because there's no point in planning future content without knowing, oh, we sent this email last week, oh, the open rate was 15%. Like let's look at why that might be, or what was the subject line, and then you can improve and plan from there.
Yes, and also being very mindful that you will have, I think you can have as many KPIs as you want. That's goes with any marketing campaign that you run, but just having your top 3 KPIs that you want to monitor either by channel or by campaign, and that you consistently build data upon those KPIs will help you over time gain more knowledge of what's working or what's not working. So consistency across these 4 points to me it's crucial, because if there are learnings but there is no strategy session, there is no point. If there are a team touch bases but no strategy sessions behind to allow the juice of a strategy and creativity during this touch bases, it's again a missed opportunity. So being very mindful on trying to have these 4 elements consistently part of your marketing team, I think you're set at least to be on the good path.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good. I have the feeling we could be speaking about marketing all day long.
Yeah, we could. I know I could.
Yes. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is the last question, we promise. How could you describe your experience with digital asset management systems? Let me launch it, and I think you should be able to see it on the screen. So first answer is, I have never used a DAM system before. Second one is, I have tried using DAMs in the past, but found them too complex. Third option is, we currently use a DAM, but it doesn't meet all our needs. And fourth option is, we have a DAM system in place and we are satisfied with its performance. So we are up to 60% of participation. Let's see if we get some more answers. Okay, I'm gonna share the results.
Great, so they all got some.
Interesting. I have never used a DAM system before. It's the most chosen
The highest.
answer, the highest. And then on the opposite, we have 27% who's actually using a DAM system and is satisfied with its performance. Okay, variety here. Nice. Well, let's talk about DAMs.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's go to the next slide, which is about technology.
Yeah, awesome. And so I think what we'll do now is kind of look at technology, kind of the greater tech that we can have at our as resources, and then more specifically about data asset management, which is a huge part of what we do on marketing. But this slide, it isn't exclusive to DAM systems. I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge that there are a variety of platforms that allow us to do our jobs better and make our jobs easier. Whether it is something kind of as simple as a file sharing platform like a Drive or a Dropbox, or whether it's something like real-time communication tools or collaborative platforms as well. I think especially where we are with the trend towards remote work and working with teams across time zones and offices, obviously that really resonates with me. It's at the forefront of kind of my daily routine. This tech is even more crucial. So beyond data assets management, I wanted to point out one that I've personally found to be really helpful. And it touches on all these points, which are kind of simplifying the search for visual assets, streamlining distribution and collaboration, and becoming a single source of truth. Those 3 points, I think they certainly, or rather a DAM system, that is what that's focused on, but there are other platforms. So like a real-time collaboration tool, like something like Figma or Canva, it lets stakeholders work on creative assets simultaneously, and it allows for quick iteration, and it's really helpful. It eliminates the need for constant file sharing and version control, which we talk about being a single source of truth. So it's great. Like for me, it allows me and my design partner to collaborate really efficiently, and it saves the need for, like I used to have to, back in the day when I started copywriting, I would be leaving little, notes and PDFs all over marking up an asset and then sending it to my designer, and they'd spend hours implementing my copy. And, I wouldn't know what my copy looked like live in design, where's the line break? And I'd see it and I'd be like, oh, this doesn't look good. So that was just kind of one thing that me and Marina talked about, another nice piece of tech. But I don't know if we want to just move right into the next slide and we can talk a little bit more about what data assets management systems are and what they do. And did you have anything you wanted to add here, Marina, before we move on?
Yes, actually taking the time, because obviously we will deep dive into Radinn's use case, but I think you're bringing up a very good point about technology.
Yeah.
And there are, going back to the previous slide where we speak about aligning your teams and how to make it
Yeah.
better, you don't need expensive tools to do so.
Mm-mm.
There are a lot of free tools that you can
Mm-hmm.
use to make sure that the 4 points are covered. If we start by project management, for example, you can have free access to Trello. This is, I think it's the most
Yeah,
common.
huge.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's huge.
Trello.
And yeah, I'm using it for my team. I'm using it for myself. I think I'm overusing it, but at least it helps
There's no
me.
such thing.
No. But sometimes when I see myself having all those boards, like, okay, I have a grip on it, but if someone will look at it, I don't know.
Yeah, right,
They will
right.
understand all the tasks that are associated there, but it is just me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Are you also
Well,
using?
when you said free tools, because a Figma is, and I don't know if I explained it well enough, it's a real-time collaboration tool. So what it means is that like we could have a piece of creative and my designer can be changing out the imagery while I'm playing with the copy in real time. I'm seeing her changes, she's seeing mine. An amazing alternative to Figma, which I'm almost positive has a free level, a free tier to it, is Canva. And that's the same thing. So Canva is a platform that's a real-time collaboration tool. Multiple stakeholders can have access to one account, and people can create and collaborate simultaneously on different pieces of creative. And I'm pretty sure, unless they've changed their model, that they have a free kind of tier of subscription. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I think they have it. Another free tool that you can use for creativity is Google Trends.
I'm not familiar with that one.
It's basically a navigation where you can put different topics related to your industry, keywords, buyer persona, and it will give you the most trending topics associated with the searched keyword. So that's also one that it's useful. And another one, I don't know which one you're using, Mimi, but for us and for my career, I've been using HubSpot as my marketing automation tool. I know
we use MailChimp.
Exactly. I know it's a paid tool, and I was going to mention, if you're looking for free resources to scale up as fast as possible, not taking a lot of your budget, you can fall back on MailChimp. There are different tiers, but the first one, it's always for free, and it's super intuitive to get started.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, CRM, customer relationship management systems are another huge piece of tech that we should all be leveraging. Yeah.
Yes. And if I think of more, I'll be sharing them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's go to the next slide and speak about Radinn.
Yeah. So yeah, excited to share with you guys a little bit about our use case for data asset management and what our experience has been like. I mean, it really has been a game changer for our team. And essentially, the way that we're set up as a business is we are really, really moving forward to just a B2B model. So we're adding new dealers and business partners to our network every day. And these resellers need quick and easy access to all of our marketing materials. So, we tried just, using simple file sharing for a while, things like Google Drive and Dropbox. And we found it was really challenging for our partners to browse and discover new content. But it also was very limiting for us as teachers and for them as learners to understand our brand, and understand our brand guidelines. And here's, how we want our logo to look. And, here's our color scheme. And it didn't allow us, there was a huge part of the conversation missing because, yeah, sure, even if they could find the photo they needed to put on the backdrop for their booth, they didn't know how to, do it under our proper brand guidelines. So we discovered Pickit, which is a data asset management system, and with it we can really be in control with how our partners use our content. So not only is it's a win-win for everyone. It's easy for them to find what they need, and it's easy for us to provide guidelines around what they're finding. And that's just huge because at the end of the day, your brand impact is everything. And if you don't do that, you're going to be diluting your brand presence. You know, you need to attain consistency in brand content and ensure that all of the parties associated with your brand are representing it cohesively. If you don't do that, your audiences aren't going to be able to immediately recognize you. So that was a really big priority for us. Yes, perfect. I was just going to have you move to the next slide to show you guys a little bit more in detail how we use Pickit and what it looks like for us. So basically what we've done is we've created what we call a marketing hub. When we have a new dealer or business partner, that could be like a rental operator, or even like distributor level, we give them access to the hub. And what's great about Pickit is you can have different access levels, and you can hide certain content depending on what access level the user has. So in our case, our distributors who are overseeing other dealers, kind of that hierarchy, they have a lot more access to certain information and content than a dealer level would. And we've built essentially really a website where they can log in and navigate to find, you know, what they need. So it's super easy. I mean, Pickit has some amazing functionality where you can search keywords and you can, you know, organize your content in a very specific way. And that's allowed us to onboard our partners in a capacity where they really are learning about our brand, and it allows them to find what they need super fast. You know, thinking about our setup, especially these partners, you know, they're super business savvy, but they might not be so familiar with the world of marketing. So Pickit is not just handing them what they need, it's also it's allowing us to provide guidelines and be in control of how they're using it. And it's awesome. I mean, we have everything on our hub, everything from, like, you can see like all of our imagery, product photos. We have a ton of marketing collateral like brochures and flyers. We have different resources like PR features, and you can really build out your system in a very customized way to how you want the users to process and absorb the information you're giving them. So it's been awesome, and we're constantly evolving our hub. We're constantly changing it and updating it and optimizing it to make it the best it can be.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Mimi. This brings me back to the first question we asked the attendees. What was the biggest challenge? And that was keeping the branding consistent across all the production and distribution. And you're touching upon a very good point, that especially when you're working with external partners, it's very easy to start building, how did we call them? Frankensteins?
Yeah. People start to Frankenstein. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. They're pulling this, they're sticking this together, and pretty soon it looks nothing like our brand. So it's really important to be in control of how our partners are using the resources we're providing them.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing that I experienced when I started using a Pickit is, and this also, we asked this in the first question, is how easy it is first to navigate through the visual navigation, and then the easiness of sharing the files internally and externally. I remember so many times where I tried to share a SharePoint file from my own drive or a Dropbox file, and then you get so many emails back and forth. I don't have access. How do I get that? I'm like, gosh, how much time does every marketer spend trying to figure this out?
It's a lot of administrative work at the end of the day, just sharing files alone. Absolutely.
Yes. So that to me also made it a point to bring back home. And when I started telling my friends, okay, what is Pickit? Where do you work, Marina? I was like, well, Pickit is actually inside of a marketing technology, but I don't think people know where it belongs yet inside all the MarTech out there. So we spoke about planning tools like Trello. We spoke about picture tools like Canva. MailChimp. So these are like things that every marketeer who's working in the digital space knows he or she needs. But we take the file management as a hassle of our jobs. This is, like we get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's, how I was reflecting when I started using
absolutely.
Pickit. Like how come I didn't think before that all this uncomfort had a solution? And I'm sharing it maybe if it resonates with the audience out there, that if you're seeing that there is a pain point, there is a solution out there. Either we're speaking about file management or we're speaking about something totally different. And sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Continue.
No, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, and I didn't know that DAM systems were a thing before we discovered Pickit. I mean, it is a relatively new kind of architecture, I think, in the worlds of marketing. But I think, like we talked about, with the current state of the digital age we live in, it's increasingly important. There's so many different channels now and things to keep track of, and ways to share and consume, that having a central source of truth and a hub where you can be in control and share things internally for your external partners is a game changer. Yeah,
most definitely. Nothing. I'm conscious about the time, and I want to give the audience time to ask any questions. We already got 2 questions, so now it's a time. If you have anything for me, for myself, or for us to brainstorm, I'm happy to take your question. You can click on the Q&A button that's on the lower bar, and I'll see the question popping up. So I'll just read the first one loud. It's from an anonymous attendee, but hopefully he's still there and we can answer the question. He's asking, do you have a way to know what exact content you used for a successful campaign activity across several channels you did over 12 months ago? And then he adds, or she adds, I think it's hard to keep track of the successful or related content within a campaign.
I actually kind of almost would flip this question. To answer this question, I think it's nice, you could flip it on its head. So we're not looking, when we're looking back and like thinking about learnings, we're not looking at a success. What we're doing is we're looking at every campaign. Here's everything we did and what was successful and what was not. And kind of when you ask, do you know what content made it successful? A lot of that is a guessing game sometimes. I mean, there's sometimes a lot of like variables that you can attribute things to, so it's not so clear. But I think the most important thing to remember is that you need to be considering everything you've done, and not just the successful ones. It's also the unsuccessful ones, because that's how you learn and improve and optimize. It's hard to kind of answer this because it really depends on the scale of your team and what resources you have. But if you are more bare boned and maybe you're like a 1 or 2 person team, it's using tools that give you metrics and data that you can look back on and say, like, kind of, this is how you keep track of it. I mean, it needs to be mired in the data ultimately, and then when you have the tools, like even when we talk about like a CRM or a customer relationship manager platform like MailChimp, where you're putting your content into this platform and it's automating emails to your distribution lists, to your customers. MailChimp is providing you with a very, very detailed analytics of each email. Here's the click rate, here's the open rate, here's the number of unsubscribers, and you're taking that data and it's harvesting that data. You have access to it, and it's using the real analytics, the numbers, to kind of determine success, I would say. I don't know if that answered the question, but I might have brought in a lot to that answer.
But maybe there is another question from him coming back after this. But
here we go.
to your point, Mimi, what I could add on top of it is if a marketeer is trying to see what specific asset made it a successful campaign, I think you're after a rabbit hole, because there is not a single asset that will make it or break it. Is the overall campaign messaging, visual assets used, audience that you have engaged. There are so many things that go in the mix, not just a specific content. But if you want to have a better grip on how your content is performing, I could say just look at the overall engaging page. So if you're putting out there a digital campaign, you most probably will be building a landing page, and in that landing page you will want to have some user behavior to help the user understand the right messaging. So all the elements that go within the landing page, you can consider them as what works or what doesn't work, but being very mindful that there is a message there that might be wrong or might be right. You might be bringing in the right audience or not the right audience. Your product offering might not fit the audience or the messaging. So there are so many elements within a landing page that can help one another, or that can totally compromise and not helping you see the results that you want to see.
Definitely. And I mean, even there are some kind of marketing tips and tricks that you can employ to determine like what can like success. So for example, and this actually ties into, I know prior to when people registered, they can ask questions, and I believe one of the questions someone asks are strategies for marketing like newsletters and emails. A really simple, smart way to kind of get learnings and find out what is success, what campaigns or variables can be successful, is by doing what's called like an A/B test. So when it comes to email and you want to say, oh, it's kind of hard to tell, why did this email do so good and why did this email not do good? Let's do an A/B test. So let's send a new email, and we're going to take one variable, let's say it's the subject line, and we're going to send the same email with two different subject lines. One subject line super informational and straightforward. The other subject line, maybe it's really emotional and kind of, more emotion driven versus like informative driven. And then you send the email, you split your distribution list, and then you can by A/B testing that, and you can say, wow, this subject line performed really good, this subject line didn't, and that is a learning right there. So there are some kind of ways you can get more specific results to learn from your content sends.
Yes.
But I see that I know we have one more question, we're running out of time, but quickly to answer this same person's secondary question, integration capabilities. Yes, I think almost all these platforms now, they know that to be competitive, they have to integrate with one another. I know Pickit has a handful of integration capabilities with file sharing, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marina, like Dropbox and Google Drive.
Yes.
Even like the platform I was talking about, Figma, integrates with, we integrate it with MailChimp. So we build our emails in Figma, and then we export them directly to MailChimp, and they all integrate together.
Yeah, we have another question related to your hub before we run out of time.
Sure.
And it's from an anonymous attendee as well. Can you easily change content in real time in your hub?
This is, I think, the most phenomenal part of Pickit. And I don't know how you guys did this coding. I've never worked in a platform that streamlines so simultaneously. Unlike other like content platforms where like every time you make a change, you have to click save. Pickit is instantaneous, and it's actually like truly remarkable to me. I've never worked in a system like this. So I'm constantly changing content in the hub. I'm adding new things. I'm updating this link. Changing. We have like what we call a news wall. So on our news wall is like the latest and greatest happenings within Radinn, and the content, you can easily change it. And not only can you easily change it, it's instantaneous. There's no save button needed. You make a change, you don't have to save it. It's immediately showing from the user experience, from the user login view. So it's pretty remarkable. I don't know, whatever coders you have or back end people, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's our secret sauce.
Yeah.
And this is a very good one as well. Maybe it helps to bring your experience, Mimi, on this one. I can say my opinion as well, but let you reply first. So it seems to be obvious why I, as a marketeer, need a DAM. How do I calculate the ROI, or how do I really get senior management to understand my need? What business goals are supported?
That's a really great question. And this, I found in my experience using Pickit, the answer to this question isn't, it's harder. It's not mired in the data. I mean, we don't have hard data that once we started using Pickit, our dealer sales, improved by X%. I mean, we're not tracking that, to be honest. But what we are hearing constantly from our partners is, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, you guys you provide us all this stuff. And a lot of our dealers work with many brands. So if they're a surf shop, they're not just selling Radinn, they're selling a ton of different surfboards, and they're selling maybe other water sports or jet skis or dinghies, whatever. And we're constantly hearing that we're the only brand that provides them this resources and these resources and this collateral, and they're so grateful. So that is not a good answer, because you're saying, how can I justify this to my team? I wonder, Marina, do you guys have any like statistics or facts about like team improvements after using this?
Well,
or what have you found hearing your customers?
Yeah, we have different ones, and it depends on who is the decision maker. So if it's a person who is acquainted with the marketing world and content, you might be building a business case different than if you're speaking to a CEO whose numbers is just meant on business goals. And I think both business cases should be thought through. And this is basically how I reflected myself every time I need to put a business case together. And starting with the CEO, who is a person driven more by numbers. I was trying to come up with a benchmark on how much time myself and my team was spending on answering emails, looking for files, sharing files, directing my internal stakeholders, like my lovely sales team, to find the different presentations, work with the product department. All this is time spent on management, but management to allow cross collaboration. And when we were having so many different systems together, the time spent on this type of task in its own was very high, but people would just take it as this is just normal collaboration.
The way it is.
The way it is. And when I started like building the business case and pinpointing all the different scenarios where at least 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of my time alone or my team's time was put into it, I could easily bring up a very easy business case to bring a DAM system in place, because that time could at least be down to half of it, because everything is in one place.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the most important thing to remember. It's a win-win, because you're not only empowering your audience, however you would be using the system, whether in our case it's our dealers, we're not only empowering them and improving their business, we're also saving precious time and resources in our team internally. In the past, we'd have to email independently with every single partner, hundreds of partners, packaging up folders for them, compressing them, emailing them, here are some photos for you to use for your website. And then they put it on their website. They wouldn't put it up the right way. It wouldn't be in our kind of brand guidelines. And that took out, that's hours of communication weekly. And now it's down to nothing. It's just simple maintenance of the site. It's when we have new photography, we'll upload a new collection. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
So I really think if you understand the use case of the platform and share, how it could save your time, your team time, and therefore money, and how it could empower your customers or your partners, whatever they may be, it's really a powerful kind of a powerful point to
Yeah.
try to explain.
And the last point I want to make on this one, if you have a decision maker who's more a marketing person, I think it would be very familiar for this person to know that there is constant request for demand, as we mentioned in the first slides. And within Pickit, at least I cannot speak on other dams, you can have insights of who's looking at your content and how much your content is being downloaded. So I'm always picking my dear sales team on here, because we do receive a lot of requests, or at least in my past experiences of producing a lot of decks for prospects, for partners, and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, I was wondering, how are they using these presentations, and are they even using them? And now with Pickit, we know the presentations are there. We know actually who is using them, how many times are being downloaded. And the insights feature goes beyond that. You can see the locations where people are looking at content. I mean, you know, Mimi, you work globally.
I mean, it's the same thing for us, and it's actually become a really nice way to keep a pulse on how our dealers are performing. I mean, or to draw lines between their performance and their sales numbers versus, it's like, it's not a surprise that our dealers that are selling on our boards the most are when we go into the insights tab, we see who's logging in and downloading all of our materials. It's those same dealers. So it's allowed us to get a really nice, keep a good pulse on kind of who's performing even within our own networks. Yeah.
So knowledge is power, and data is there to use.
Love it.
Love
it. A beautiful thing.
Nice. Well, we are over time, but we have still 25 people listening in. So thank you. Thank you. Apologies for the delay.
You guys. No, I appreciate you all coming, and hope this was valuable. And I always say, like, I'm on LinkedIn. I love to forge, meet new people in our industry. So don't be shy to reach out. And that's all I got to say then.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
as
you,
well
Marina.
From my side. This has been a very pleasant yet familiar conversation with you, Mimi. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. And hope you have a good day.
Yes, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for coming.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.